2 weeks ago, I talked about finding calm in the middle of change and how QBQ can help us manage our response when life doesn't go according to plan. Today's episode continues that conversation, but from a slightly different angle. What happens when the change is planned and it's something you actually chose to do? My guest, Cindy Moen, recently retired after serving as Chief People Officer for Fielman USA. Cindy did everything right. She helped develop her successor, she strengthened the leadership team, prepared the organization to move forward without her, and then guess what? It did. As Cindy became less involved in meetings and emails and decisions, she began wrestling with some very human thoughts. Why wasn't I included? When will they realize that's a bad idea? Who's going to ask my opinion? That's when Cindy opened her notebook and began writing what she called her retirement QBQs. This is such an honest conversation about planned change, succession, the need to feel needed, and what it takes for a great leader to truly let go. I'm so glad you're here, and I hope you enjoy. Welcome to this week's episode of the QBQ podcast. I'm so excited to have with me today Cindy Moen, and I will let you introduce yourself, Cindy, and just kind of share how you ended up on this show. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Well, I am currently 5 weeks into retirement after having spent the last 7 years of my career as the Chief People Officer for a company called Shopco Optical and eventually becoming Fielman USA through an acquisition. I have been a fan of QBQ. I wish I could remember how long ago, but I'm going to say 12 to 14 years. And I honestly don't remember how I got introduced to the book, but what I know is that once I read the book, it just hit me as a very easy way to think about what you do when you have choices, and you have choices to how you respond to everything. And it was very practical. I think it resonated with me right away because I naturally am a person who's always thinking about, okay, what can we do here?
Yeah.
I was really super excited when you started the podcast. I think it's been maybe a year.
It has, yeah.
Because the content is timeless.
It is.
And when you, via podcast, kind of just keep bringing people on who have used their content in real life, it brings it to life in a way and it gets to a different audience, which I think is really cool. And then we have been going through some transitions with our leadership team when I was still working. And I was like, QBQ, we are going to read QBQ. We are going to put this into practice. We're going to think about how we can ask the right questions to solve the issues we were facing and the challenges we were facing. It was really cool for me to hear it used in action. Even sometimes I would say something and people would be like, no, a QBQ there, Cindy, would be. And I was like, yes.
Yay! That was a test.
It was. It was a slip and a test. But then we have a conference every year for our doctors and managers. So we have about 500 people who come in for a conference every year. And this was the first year where we got to spend money on a keynote speaker.
Yay!
And I said, I have the perfect solution here. And because the leadership team had already been exposed to QBQ, it was an easy yes.
Yeah.
And we were able to, that things worked out, that you were able to attend the conference. And the thing for me at that conference, the way that you shared the stories, the real life ways that you apply QBQ. And then at the end, we get the worksheet.
Yeah.
And the worksheet is a takeaway. I still have mine. I retired, but I kept my QBQ worksheet. But so many people, after you had spoken to the group, said, oh, this was perfect. This was so helpful. I could use this in my home life. I laugh because a lot of times when our doctors come to this conference, they get continuing education. That's very important. And to get feedback from a group of people who are like, no, I want more continuing education, to say this was perfect, was awesome as well.
That's a huge win. Yes. Oh, I'm so glad. You worked so hard for a long time to get QBQ in. So it was such a success. And then you tell me, by the way, I'm retiring. I'm like, well, this was like cool, like the icing cherry on top. You got it done.
Yes,
Way to
yes.
go. So you successfully prepared for your retirement. You got everybody ready. What was that like? Like, how did that go? How did you feel as you prepared to retire? You're handing things off. I'm sure you had emotions.
Yep.
Like, tell us about what that felt like.
It was a transformation. So generally, when you retire, you're not given a 2 week notice. So I had um, told my boss kind of the end of February and had said, middle of June is going to be my last day. We had this plan in place, and I was succession planning is so important, and I was so excited to have been over the past few years been able to invest in helping get my team and the company ready for me to move on. And I was excited to have the support and the buy-in from the leaders in the company. And then we had new owners, right? And I also had to
Right.
have earned their trust and have exposed people to them. I was really excited because I'm an HR leader and succession planning is important, but nobody does it.
Right. Yeah,
And so I was
exactly.
like, yay. And we were also in the midst of a lot of other change. So for a while, all was well. You kind of go through your day to day stuff and you do the communication and you lean into where you need to spend the extra time to help get my successor ready, but also the team ready. I mean, it's not just about your successor, but you got to build
Yeah.
strength at all the levels.
Mhm.
And I would say that the first 60 to 70 days of after announcing my retirement, my the biggest emotion I probably felt was guilt. Like,
Huh.
oh, I'm leaving and you all are going to have to do all this work and I'm not going to be here to help and I feel bad about that.
Yeah.
But then I had to step back and go, no, we're set up for this and people are ready for the work. That's what you want when you succession plan. You want people to be ready to take more.
Hmm.
And then I would say I will never forget really the day. I remember exactly the moment where the next emotions hit. And I would say it
Oh.
was about 3 weeks out. I know I was in a meeting. I know what chair I was sitting in. I know what room I was sitting in. And we were talking about the future.
Hmm.
And that's all stuff that's going to happen when I'm not there. And
Yeah.
I was less a part of the conversation than I was used to being a part of a
Of
conversation.
course. Yeah.
And for the first time, I felt left out and I
Oh.
felt unimportant. And I could feel all these IQs, these incorrect questions coming to
Okay.
me. And then I have it right here. I took out my notebook.
Oh.
I flipped to the back page because you know how you feel when you're feeling emotional? You can just like feel it coming and you're thinking, okay, fix your face. Don't let anybody else know what you're thinking here. I pulled out my notebook and I wrote at the top retirement QBQs.
All right. Look at you.
And I thought I have to take all of this and I have to frame it into something that is actionable. I'm
Mhm.
not part of the future. I chose to not be part of the future. I'm
Yeah.
excited about my future. So I have to manage the emotions of this and then not like I remember I had guilt. I was like, I can't have somebody else feel guilty
Yeah.
for me feeling left out because I wasn't.
Because it's not their
So
fault. It's the
right, no.
reality of what
They're
you're
like
going through.
picking up when I'm handing off.
Yep. They're doing what
So
you asked them to do.
yes. And that is honestly what helped me get through the last few weeks as my contributions, my work, my day to day stuff started to wind down.
Yeah.
I would add to my little list and then go act on what I put on my list.
What IQs were you asking?
I started to say, well, why am I not included in this meeting or this email? when is somebody going to realize that's not going to work or that's a bad idea?
I
Um,
that one makes so much sense to me because
it does,
obviously I know everything. So,
right? Or who is going to ask
mm,
me what I think about this situation?
yeah.
And I had to reframe them and I had to start thinking about things like, okay, how do I, right? I talked about the guilt. So, how do I delegate decisions
Mm.
without making it appear that I don't care? Because I'll tell you, I care. I still care. I baked banana
Yeah.
bread today and I'm taking it to the office.
Oh,
So, um, but I have to be able to delegate those decisions. So, how do I do that without having it appear that I don't care?
hmm.
A couple other ones that I asked were, how can I still contribute at a high level while not being involved in the day to day, right? What are the things that I can do when you walk out of the office? You want to feel like I had a purpose for
There
being
was
there
a
today.
reason for me to be at work
Yes,
today. Yes.
yes. How can I support the business and our teams and make sure that they're ready for the change?
Hmm.
And then how do I, one of the ones I wrote in a different meeting was, how do I ensure my comments or my feedback about something is helpful? Because you can add a comment and it can be an unhelpful thing. We all have those things that run through our head.
Yeah.
And so it just was like, these were the things that kept me grounded and disciplined, I think, in those last few weeks to allow the company to move forward
Yeah.
and to still like feel like I was doing things of value.
Well, and not feel like a lame duck where you're just
Right,
sitting there to bide your time, to fill
right,
those hours, but
right,
you're not doing anything. So I love that you were still looking for ways to contribute, add your wisdom and experience without micromanaging or making people
right,
feel like you didn't trust them.
correct.
'Cause that would be a tricky balance for sure. Can you I'm unfamiliar with succession planning, like as
Sure,
a thing that people know to do. So can you talk about that a little bit?
absolutely. So in our organization, in many organizations, right, you look at the people who are in the chairs doing the work, and you're thinking about where they are in their careers. Are they a risk for leaving for something else? Are they
Mm.
going to retire? I was obviously of retirement age. And you look at, okay, what do I do when this person leaves? Because at some point, everybody's going to leave.
Right. Whether it's
Um,
retirement or just a new opportunity.
New opportunity, or yeah, all kinds of things. They win the lottery.
Yeah.
So
I wish.
exactly. Um, and so you have to think about, well, what are we going to do? And you have to think about, do we have talent within the organization who could fill those spots tomorrow, in 6 months, in 12 months, in 2 years? Is this a spot that's so specialized we're going to have to look outside the organization? So we have to think about how we would do that. But you want to be prepared so that you don't lose continuity. So succession planning is really thinking about, okay, who's going to be doing what in the future, so that when we get to the future, we're not sitting there going, oh no, now what do we
Shoot,
do?
this
We
person's
don't
gone and
have
we
this
have to fill
person.
their
Right,
shoes.
right. Or
Okay.
Cindy retired and we don't have a plan.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have a plan and then it blows up. And
Yeah.
we were fortunate enough to have a plan and to have the support of the company to kind of like, I was able to hand things off to the person who eventually succeeded me
Yeah.
while I was still there over a
That's
period of
fortunate.
time.
Hmm.
But I was also able to build other leadership capabilities at different levels, so
Okay.
that when this person was able to step into the role, you've got strength everywhere.
I would have thought succession planning is just when people retire. You know, that's where my brain would have gone. So I never thought about the fact that it's always looking, always being aware and having a plan in place if any position leaves
Right.
or moves or anything like that. So that's great. When did you decide to retire? And how did you decide that? For anyone out there kind of at that same stage in life, I'm so curious what that process looked and felt like.
Um, it's interesting because what I decided and what I actually did was a little different, and I find that to be more common as I hear
Okay.
stories of other people.
Okay.
My husband has been retired for a couple of years, so I knew I was going to retire. My original plan was February of 27, and the only reason I picked that date was because that would be 20 years with the company.
Oh, okay.
So
You
I'm
wanted to
like,
hit that
that's a
mark.
great day, right?
Yep.
And and then some things changed with my family. We had three grandchildren in the span of 4 months, all who live close by. And then my husband had some surgery, which meant he wasn't able to do all the things around the house that he does. My
Sure.
job required me to be fully invested in my job, and I loved that, and my family always supported that. And my husband kept the train on the tracks here.
Yeah.
So I knew I I couldn't give all of me in the way that I wanted to give all of me to both places.
Yeah.
So then I started to think about, okay, how do I do this a little bit earlier? And then I sort of got selfish and said, we go on this road trip every year in June.
Ah, it'd be
Let's
really nice.
be done, right? And I was
Yeah.
working on a project opening some new locations, and the last one was scheduled to open the end of May. So I
Okay.
knew I could fulfill that, spend time with a transition plan. And then when I left on this road trip, I was done.
You
So
were
that's
done.
kind of how I got to my
Okay.
day.
So there were some natural stopping points that
Right.
helped you make that decision,
Yep.
even though it ended up being earlier than you'd initially thought.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Did QBQ help guide that thought process at all? Do you remember using that mindset at all, or was it just a different decision making process?
I would say I try. I'm not perfect, but I try to have a QBQ thought in almost every, right? But you're making a choice.
Yeah.
And sometimes your choice is in the moment, and sometimes your choice is future. And so it was really like, how can I leave the organization at a time that meets my personal needs and keeps the train on the tracks at the company at the same time? So not spontaneous, but thoughtful about, okay, I got these things. And I also knew that there was going to be a transition of a couple of months where I still was going to be trying to balance both. But I was able to do that in knowing that there was an end.
Yeah. So that QBQ of how can I leave at a time that's good for me personally and also decently good for the company
Right,
that helped guide that decision. And that's how
right,
QBQ really does slide into every single decision we make, should we choose to use it. And like you said, we have to use it. I don't
right.
always, I forget.
No,
So
no matter how many years we do it, our
I know.
first like human instinct is that wrong question, and
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah. It
But
is
when you
literally a muscle that has to be
yes,
flexed and worked and grown to
yeah,
do it reflexively. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
And I would say right now, joining my husband in retirement, I had to use some QBQs
I,
in terms of like, how do and sometimes they're not very eloquent QBQs,
oh,
but
they
right,
don't have to
like
be.
I'm not the boss here, and
Oh.
he's got his routine, and right, I'm used to being like, okay, this is what we need to do, and here's how we're gonna do it, and let's have this plan. And like I had to, and one of them I wrote on my little note was,
Yep.
how can I re-enter my home life
Absolute for the
in a
first
way
time in
that's,
many years, really,
yeah,
or
that
ever.
that is kind and not disruptive to what's already there. I had to back up and go, just because it's not my way doesn't mean it's wrong.
Yeah. That's so interesting, the concept of joining someone who's already in retirement.
Yeah,
And yeah, you've lived with him and you've loved him and you've partnered with him, but
right,
now he's the one who's been home all day and now
right.
you're going to be there too. And I can imagine that would be a tricky entry.
It's like 9 o'clock on a Tuesday. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Well, that's
Yeah.
because I've always done this at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday. You're just not here.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, you did? I had no idea. Okay.
right,
Yeah. It truly is a whole new season for the two of you.
right, right.
Yeah. Does your husband, I mean, I assume he's aware of QBQ, and do you
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about it together in how to support each other in that way?
It's funny. My whole family has read QBQ.
Yes.
And this goes back to maybe not the first time I read it, but another time at one time in the company that is no longer in existence. I had tried to have your dad come present
Yeah, I
at a
remember. Yes.
conference. Yes. And I think it was at that time where I was like, oh, y'all, we have to all read this book. And not a you should read this book, but
Right.
I think everybody should read the book because it just is an easy way to think about how to make choices. So, yes, it is funny. We both catch ourselves sometimes with the why, when, who. Right now, we're trying to figure out a calendar and how do we get a calendar that meets both of our needs so
I'm
we know what's
sure.
going on.
Yeah. And I've watched my parents go through my dad working less as I work more. You know, he still
Right.
does a lot for the business, but he doesn't travel as much as he used to. So he's home way more than he used to be. And my mom is like, why are you here? Like, that is such a thing. And then as well, adding on grandkids. Like
Yep.
grandkids add a whole new schedule to
Yes.
the empty nester's life. If you were speaking to an exiting leader, what would you tell them about how to leave their team feeling confident, not anxious when they leave?
I think the most important thing you can do as a leader, what I would tell a leader is you have to be courageous and you have to be confident enough to let stuff go. Hire and invest in people who can take your job.
Ah, that's scary though.
Right. And can make it your own and
Mm,
build a strong team at all levels. Don't just hire at that one level for the next person to take what is currently yours. It gives you the chance then to do what you want and you leave the company in a good place.
mhm,
I think the biggest mistake that people make is trying to prove that they're so valuable that the company won't be successful without them.
mm.
And right, it's a kind of that natural little human thing that is, oh, see, I really mattered.
Yeah, we want to be needed.
Right,
Hmm.
that's normal. But what you really want is for the company and all the people you lead to be prepared to be successful. That's the legacy you want to leave. You want people to say, we miss you and things are great. Like
Yes.
those are the two things. But that takes courage and it takes confidence and it takes I had a boss once a long time ago who took one of my very coveted projects that I had worked on year over year
Oh,
and he gave it to somebody else. And he said, Cindy, I know you know how to do that. I don't need to see you do that again. And I can't give you more if you keep doing the same thing over and over again. Let somebody else make it their own. Here's a whole bunch of new stuff to take its place.
wow.
And I think when you can lead like that, when you can let somebody make it their own, when you give somebody the stuff and you go, no, I hired you because you're smart.
Yeah,
I've promoted you. I've done all of these things because you're smart and you can do your job.
yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's how I did it, but you go do it your way. You have to be like confident and courageous enough to be able to say, no, this is yours. Go have fun. I got to figure it out once.
Yeah.
If you need help, I will help you. I am not abdicating this responsibility. I'd be happy to share whatever information you need. But sometimes when you figure stuff out yourself, you build a muscle you didn't know you had.
Absolutely. Yeah, that grit is really important.
Yes.
Oh, that's so good. So you leave them confident by telling them that you have confidence in them and then allowing them to try
Yes.
these new things. That's how you do it. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, that's
exactly.
great. That's good. So now that you're you said 5, 6 weeks into retirement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that about right? What are you learning about your purpose in this new season? Are you having trouble separating your identity from Cindy, HR leader, to whatever it is now? Cindy.
Chief groundskeeper at this point, which comes with a good tan. So
Hey,
that's all right.
that's
Yes.
fine. That's good.
I would say one of the things, the smartest thing that we did, and it was sort of accidental, but I told you I picked my date because we go on this road trip.
Yeah.
This year we ended up being able to spontaneously extend the road trip because nobody cared when we came home. I think that really helped me separate differently than I may have if I had been here
Sure.
and sitting here and things like that. So, because every day was a new adventure. And when we go on these road trips, we have a destination, which is Omaha. We go to the College World Series, but then
Oh, okay.
we meander our way there and then we meander our way home. And this year we had the opportunity. We have some friends who live in Texas. My daughter and her family were going to be going there. So we said, sure, why not? Let's just kind of carry on.
Yeah.
But the way we do it for the meander is we spontaneously pick places and things to do. And our rule is by 7 p.m. the night before, we have to know where we're going to sleep the next day.
That seems fair. Okay.
It's the only rule.
All right.
So, right, you spend a lot of time like planning and thinking about that and the things you want to do along the way. So I had a lot of things to keep my mind very occupied, which is very nice.
You didn't just retire and then sit at home. There was
correct.
There was a project.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we were gone for another few days here, there, and everywhere. But there's a lot of yard work to handle. So that's why I am the chief groundskeeper, which is fun.
Yeah.
But
so
I also
retire in the summer is what you're saying. Yeah.
Exactly.
If you live in a snowy
yes.
climate. Yeah.
Yes. I had friends who offered to give me books on what to do. And I said, I probably need them in October, but right now I'm good.
Yeah.
And I love to run. And that was one of the things that I had stopped doing. There was not enough of me to fit that in. And so I have been running almost every day on our road. I've run now in 8 different states. Thank you to our road trip.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that was another little like, okay, we're in Oklahoma. I've never run in Oklahoma. Let me do that.
Okay.
I love to cook and we have a big garden. And so I've been able to spend time at things that fill me up.
Yeah.
And I'm also right now just able to say yes to a lot of things. Tonight, I am going to the Touch a Truck event with my 2 grandsons who live like 20 miles away. I wouldn't have been able to say yes to those kinds of things. I feel like I can just be more present wherever I am.
Yeah, because you don't have this 8-hour thing you have to go do every day.
Exactly.
Your mental energy.
Yes, and I loved that 8-hour thing.
Yeah.
But I have found things to fill my cup, and I know I will find more routine. We have a cabin 100 miles north, and I'm going to volunteer at the picnic in that town, which I would have never done because otherwise that's my only day. I can't give that to the,
Right. I can't volunteer that time. That's my time.
Right. So I will find more things like that. I haven't gotten into really a routine, but it's summer. It's my summer break right now.
Yes, there is no routine in summer. That's what I've just decided in life.
Yes.
Nope. It's different every week. It's different every day. So just live it up, enjoy it. And then routine comes when the days get darker and longer.
Yep. So. And I'm not rushing from thing to thing and being half present at things, which I really feel good about.
Yeah, it sounds like you're handling it really well, managing the change well. That's
Thank you.
That's so good. That's so good. Okay, I want to hear about the dentist story. What? It
was such a QBQ, such a like moment where I had the IQs in my head. So on our road trip, because of my husband's back surgery, our first stop was Rochester at the Mayo Clinic.
For Mayo, okay.
And then we needed to be in Omaha in a few days, so we had time. So I had found this bed and breakfast in, of all places, Mankato. That looked kind of cool.
Yeah.
So we meandered our way along I-90 and we went to the Spam Museum and we went
Oh,
to
I
visit the
love the
Jolly.
Spam
I
Museum.
know. It was awesome.
It's such a random place, but it's seriously so cool.
It is very cool. Then we went to the Jolly Green Giant
Oh, fun.
and then we meandered our way back to Mankato. And my husband is able to walk a lot farther now than he has been
Oh,
in
good.
a long, long time.
Yeah.
And so we were at a bed and breakfast where we could walk to this restaurant right downtown. So walking home from the restaurant, we were on the opposite side of the street, and the bed and breakfast is an old Victorian house, and it had beautiful detailing. And my husband was like, let's not cross there because then I have to go up 2 steps. Let's cross here. Fine. Well, as we're walking across the street, I'm looking at I was like, look at the swans. And I missed a bump in the road
Oh, no.
and I fell
Oh,
and
no.
I went down and I caught myself, but not enough. So my face hit the ground and I heard my teeth. I was like, I just broke
No.
my tooth.
Oh,
So, but this was day 2 of
and you're on
14,
your.
yeah, 14 days on the road. And I'm not graceful at all.
Okay.
So tripping and falling,
Not a shock.
not a no. But it was just very funny because my first thought again, or maybe not my first thought, but a thought was like, why didn't we cross where there was a crosswalk? Because then I wouldn't have hit this bump in
Yeah.
the road.
Yeah.
But then I had to go, what can you do to pay more attention to where you're walking? You don't end up on your face, right?
Yes.
Like this was not my husband's fault. It
It's
was
not the
nobody's
crosswalk's
fault.
fault or lack
It was
thereof.
not the right. Like,
Yeah.
why can't the city of Mankato have smoother roads? All of those things, right? Hit your head and you're like, no, pay
Mm,
attention. And you don't have to walk and talk and look and do all the things at the
yeah.
same time. So, anyway,
This is
but
why you were heading to the dentist.
that's why I was headed to the dentist. Let's see what they fixed them. I
They
now
look great.
do not have like my tooth looked like the state of Mississippi. So,
Oh no.
like it had the little edge.
Just a little memory in all the photos. Yeah.
So, yes.
This is fun. You covered it so well. I think there are a lot of people out there who could use this conversation. Like, let's just talk about
Yeah.
this. So.
I think there's a lot of people and a lot of companies who that senior leader level is mostly filled with people of my age.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think at a certain point, you're like, no, I love what I'm doing and it work forever.
Yeah.
But you get to that point where you know there's other things and it's time and somebody else is ready
To step
to
in.
do that.
Yeah. My generation that's ready to step into your generation's shoes.
Exactly.
But we can't do that if y'all keep living and working hard.
Exactly. If we don't just go out and plant our gardens.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
and I think you will always have surprise change. People will leave or
Yeah.
whatever for other reasons. You can't plan for everything, but if you can plan for some things,
Mhm.
you're in a better spot and you don't have that pause. You don't have that gap. You don't have the okay, we're not going to do anything new because we don't have somebody to kind of carry us through, or we have to hand that off to somebody else who's not ready. If you have a plan in place and you can execute it, in most places, you're better off.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think that's like that with any change. If you start to think about, okay, I planned for this change.
Mhm.
I think we plan for the task. We don't always plan for the emotions. And so for me, one of the things that I learned, and it made me think like, when other people left, maybe retired or gave a long notice or whatever, did I make sure that they felt regarded and valued, like right to the end? Because
Yeah.
you're right when you're in it, you're moving on.
Yeah. You're like, all right, so you're not going to be here anymore. And you're
Right.
on the
Okay.
next
Thank
thing.
you. But
Yeah.
I got
See you
stuff I got
later.
to do. And so it gave me, I think, empathy that obviously I'm not in the workplace right now, so I'm not able to use it that way, but
Yeah.
it gave me empathy. And I think as companies plan for those things, planning for the emotions
Mm.
on both sides, right? That the person getting the new stuff has the excitement
Yeah.
and the trepidation. When you do that right, you handle that transition, I think, better sometimes than you handle the transition from the person handing it off because they're not part of the future.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think it's easier to focus on the one who's going to be there and maybe their
Right.
anxieties or worries or needs. And the one
Yeah.
heading out, it's like, all right,
Yeah.
see you later.
Thank you. But we got stuff to do.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's good. That's
yeah.
good. I really appreciate you coming on here and with a message already in mind. This is not, again, something I would have thought to ask you about. So I'm really excited about this topic and I appreciate you sharing as you're processing. I mean, you're in this
Yeah.
currently.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, thank
It's
you
been
for
so
sharing.
fun. Like I said, I follow your work. It's a fundamental piece of how I live, but I think it's also so easy to apply when
Mhm.
you just start to think about it. And you eliminate a lot of roadblocks and a lot of traps and a lot of places you can get stuck
Yeah,
if not always because you can't always, but if and when you can really ask the right question.
it's awesome. Thank you, Cindy. I really
Thank
appreciate it.
you. Yes.
Yes,
Have a great rest
yes.
of your day.